When you read The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, he tells of a story of a janitor who saved for his lifetime. He saved $8 million in his life as a janitor. Now, $8 million is approximately 1 billion Kenya shillings. Now, I think it's an interesting story because saving is one of the most challenging elements in our livelihoods, and we have tried it not once but failed, and I still don't know why, but I think having this discussion can take us somewhere. When you also read The Richest Man in Babylon by Samuel Clason, he talks of saving at least 10% of what you earn. And in other words, he simply says a piece of what you earn is yours to keep. My name is Peter Simboni, and as you all know by now, I love talking about money issues because I know that is the biggest problem that is affecting Africa as a continent, and more particularly Kenya. In fact, I would say the Kenyan youths. How can we have a money discussion that will help us grow financially so that we don't end up in the same problems, we don't end up in the same challenges in as far as money is concerned. So why is it difficult for people not to save? Well, you will hear more obvious reasons. You will hear reasons like I don't make as much money. Okay, you will hear reasons like let me just finish with this problem and then maybe next month or next time I will start saving. Or you will hear reasons like I have a lot of bills to pay, so I can't save. But basically, these are daily routines. These are frequent issues in life that we have to deal with. Bills will be there. Next time, you may not really exhaust your problems. In fact, there is always another case. When you finish this problem, immediately another problem pops up, and that other problem is even bigger than the previous problem. So when you keep on postponing, you end up in a trap where you can no longer save. And when you say you are not earning as much money, it's intriguing, which is true. But at the end of the day, we are not asking you to save all the money that you're making. We're just telling you save a percent. Well, like The Richest Man in Babylon, Clason recommends 10%. And 10%, even if you are earning 1,000 bob, that is 1,000 shillings you set aside. And when you maybe get more money, let's say 20,000, now it becomes 2,000, 50,000, 5,000 as you progress. The percent you may set depending on your goals, but just make sure at least you're doing 10%, so that the more you earn, the more the proportion increase. So in financial terms, that is called the pro rata basis. You only get a proportion depending on how much you earn. So I don't know which is your problem or challenge. Maybe it falls among the few that I've mentioned, but I really come to think of it, the biggest challenge that the youth failed to see is instant gratification. Well, you make money, but there are needs that you have to satisfy every now and then. Okay, you have to buy the latest shoe wear. You have to buy the latest clothing line. You have to buy the latest phone. You have to buy, well, the latest products in the market. And surprisingly, people who are making these products are quite aware of the same. So they will always appeal to you, and they'll continue making and making. Every year or after every 6 months, there is a new product in the market. After 6 months, there's a new product of the same version in the market. So you have to keep up with the Jones, and that puts you in a situation where you cannot actually save, because every time you make money, the new phone is in place, you buy. Every time you make money, the new version or the new fashion is in place, you buy. And that keeps you in a vicious cycle. And if you are suffering from that problem, unfortunately, you may not get to a point where you are starting to save. And then, of course, another major problem is financial education. Now, in my previous videos, I often talk about being messed up as Africans or as Kenyans. As we grow up, we don't really understand the financial aspects, and we are distanced from money for the better part of our lives, and we come later now to realize I can't manage money, I can't save, I can't spend, I can't invest, and that is yet another problem. So I have taken the initiative to have this discussion and educate ourselves about money, and I hope in the process we shall try to understand these elements better and better. And then, of course, we have some people could say cultural or societal influence. This comes in a sense that your friend is doing something, or a certain group of people are doing something, and you don't want to be left behind. So there is that fear of missing out, and then you end up competing with them. Someone has bought a 52-inch screen, so you want to beat them because, well, because of social stratification. You buy an even bigger screen, so that when they come over and they're like, wow, this screen is a bit bigger, this is 60-inch and mine is... So that sense of stratification keeps you in check, and you always want to outperform your peer. That's a problem I've also realized in my own setting, whereby someone buys an iPhone, maybe 13, the next person now buys an iPhone 14. So it becomes like a race, and in that case, these cultural aspects or social aspects, they blur you from having a vision, especially as much in as far as savings is concerned. Now, saving is very, very important, and it's not even about the goal. You don't need to have a goal for you to save. In fact, in our platform, we have saving packages, whereby there is one package which you don't touch. And this package, you keep on saving as long as you earn. So anytime you are earning, you put something in that account. And then there is another package now where you can set goals. By the end of the year, I need to have maybe 100,000 to buy something. At the end of the year, I need to have this much to buy something. So you may want to categorize your savings in a sense that you are putting money depending on the goal or the orientation where you want your life to get. Because now, the more you save, there's a funny thing where the more you save, the more you get the energy to save, the more you have the synergy. There is at one point we started a saving campaign with one of my friends where we were putting a certain amount of money every day. And it doesn't matter whether you are earning that day or not. So even if you are behind like 10 days or less, when you earn now, you are going to recover that particular money. And by the time the year ended, we had hit an 80% goal completion rate. So assuming you are saving maybe 300,000, 80% goal completion, that puts us at about 250,000. And I'm not saying these figures to scare you. You can start and set your own goal. That initiative was very, very forthcoming, and we even invited more members of the team. And we did it with about 20 or so members. And I'm telling you, a lot of them could not. But for the few who did, at the end of the year, they were getting money from just that aspect of saving. So once you accomplish one goal in the savings arena, you make even complex saving goals, and that keeps your life in check. So in its sense, saving brings a sense of security. You are always safe in case of any emergency, in case of any challenge, in case of anything. You always have some reserves where you're going to, and that one puts you out of the situation. And it increases your confidence, even when you are working, even when you are with friends. And in the same case, you always have that thing that belongs to you. You always go back to your accounts and say, here, I have this much, and this much, this much, this. So the more you see those figures, the more they entice you. So instead of withdrawing, you're actually adding. You're like, well, I'm at 85,000, let me try and get to 90. I am at 95,000, let me try and get to 100. So it becomes something like a game. And as I've told you, it gives you a peace of mind. Whenever you have some reserves, it doesn't matter how much, and they are always growing, it gives you a peace of mind. There are different strategies that you can deploy for you to enable your savings. For instance, you can automate your savings, and this is the best that I've done. For instance, if you are earning money through a bank, you may go and make a standing order, or you can open a savings account, and then you instruct that account that I'll be saving maybe 2,000 per week. So any money that comes to that account, at the end of the week, the account checks how much your normal account has, and it deducts 2,000. So you don't have any control of your money. If you are given a choice to save, more often than not, you will not, because life, well, it's a challenge. So when you automate your savings, it becomes easy to ensure that come what may, as long as I am earning, I am saving. And if you're not dealing with the bank, sometimes you can deal with your employer, for example. You just tell your employer, if you trust them, to be, instead of paying you maybe $200 or maybe 20,000 Kenya shillings, just tell them, well, pay me 18,000 and keep away 2,000. I'll take the 2,000 at the end of the year. You can have such arrangements so that you also budget within what you have. Now you are not budgeting for the 20,000. You're budgeting for the 18,000, and that keeps you in check, because at the end of the year, you will have some reserves, and you could even challenge yourself to get another goal. So whether you are receiving money from the bank, whether you are earning from an employer, you can make arrangements to automate your savings so that you don't have control in your life. Another thing is to create a budget. Well, I know this is a tough one because I'm also battling with it. And we normally say life has so many angles and dynamics. So it may be almost impossible to create a budget. But have something, have a working budget. In as much as it is hard, just try. We don't expect you to perfect it overnight. And if you set a budget, for example, let's say you are doing a wedding, and then you set a budget of maybe 300,000. As long as you are planning, you are always working with a figure. And even if the figure goes up by a certain amount, you are cautious, and you are like, well, it's beyond the budget. Let's limit. But if you don't have a budget, it becomes a problem, because you don't have a working figure. You won't know if you've spent less on that particular event or activity, or you've spent more. And even if you spent more, there are no red flags to keep you in check. So I would say have a budget in food, have a budget for transport, have a budget for rent, have a budget. I have a very nice guy, he's called Francis Wainaina. He handles my finances, and he puts me on a budget, so that anytime I want to make a financial decision, I have to consult whether it's a safe decision or not. And of course, I'll talk about the entire budgeting and how you can manage your finances. And even if you want to use his services, we can arrange for that, and he just takes a small fee. But trust me, it's way better than taking charge of your own finances. So we shall have a specific episode to talk about budgeting and areas that are eating into your cash, areas that you could save and maybe keep that money for other uses and all that. So stay tuned for our next episodes. We shall be talking more about finances. And then, of course, we have debts. Well, I know this puts me in the ways when I'm talking about debt, because I also have a microfinance, and I normally tell people, where are you taking this money to? There are good debts and there are bad debts. Good debts are debts where you take 20,000, you put it in an investment, the investment pays the debt, okay? But bad debts are you take 5,000 and buy a shoes. So there's no way that shoes is going to bring the income to finance that debt. So good debts finance themselves, bad debts, they're just as much as liability. And having high interest debts, sometimes, and these days there are so many high interest debts. And just because the money is available to you within the same minute and maybe the same hour, it simply means there is very high interest. So you find yourself, you've borrowed 50,000 and you are paying as much as 70,000. So this simply means that you are no longer working for yourself. You are working for that particular person who gave you the money. And at the end of the day, the profit that you are making from this business or this venture that you borrowed money for, all the proceeds are going to that particular person. So you need to be very, very cautious about the interest rates. Whenever you get an opportunity to borrow money, you should be cautious. How much am I making? And if I pay the debt, how much will I remain with? You can think of the case of Elon Musk, where he bought Twitter at 45 billion Kenya shillings, around 45 billion Kenya shillings. Well, he did not use his entire money. Actually, his contribution was about 9.6 billion. I mean, 4.5 billion, that's about 9.6% of the entire cost. And then other banks like American Corp and other equity investors, they came in and sponsored the rest of the money. Because taking the 45 billion away from his reserves, in terms of opportunity cost, did not make any sense. So you find out that instead of using his money could be used elsewhere to bring more returns other than using the entire money to buy Twitter. So we want to do some checks and balances to make sure the amount that I'm borrowing and investing in a certain niche or a certain venture has higher returns, in that I'll be able to pay the data and retain some of the reserves. If your returns are less than the interest, you'll rather not take that debt, because what it simply means, you're working for this person. That's the shortest explanation I can give. So as we continue to understand the finance world, I hope we shall be making better decisions in future. So just stick with me. Maybe make sure you subscribe to the channel, and you can always visit the website and learn more about finances. We put a lot of content on the website, and that enables the community to have a discussion. When you want to join the platform on how to save, how to borrow loans, and how you can bank your own money with a view of having an independent financial future, you can always contact me by the provided information. Thank you very much. See you in the next episodes.